Habari Gani.
Habari. Ujamaa. Wonderful.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. And as EBB celebrates Kwanzaa season, and today we are going to celebrate Ujamaa, which is Cooperative Economics. And with our beloved doula is going to talk a little bit more about what Kwanzaa means and why we are celebrating it today.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be joining Equity Before Birth today. As a community partner, I think for me, it's so important for us to come on and not only talk about tradition, talk about our history, but talk about the way that we're pushing those things forward. So we're so excited to be here and celebrating that with you today. Kwanzaa for us has been one of those things that's always about shifting paradigm, making a systems change, investing in Black tradition and Black history. And so Kwanzaa, as most of us know, was created out of Los Angeles after the Watts riots. It was created by an organization, the organization US, a group of Black people organizing in their community. And Kwanzaa is a Swahili translation of first harvest. We know as Indigenous people, as Africans, we had these traditions, these rites, these rituals that ushered forth new seasons, that celebrated the harvest, that celebrated the planting season. And so this is a wonderful way for us to be able to connect our African American history and culture and our African roots. And so we'll be talking today, the fourth day, Ujamaa, which is cooperative economics. Joy, would you tell us more about cooperative economics?
Yes, thank y'all so much for introducing that. Very important for us at Equity Before Birth to talk about cooperative economics because we have a very cooperative and collaborative model for how we do the work. In fact, I just think there's so much power in unity. There's so much power in doing things in a collective sense and in collaboration. Before we continue, I'm going to invite us all to kind of soak in that power literally. Let's just take a couple of seconds literally to take a collective breath before we get into this conversation about the power of cooperation and cooperative economics. So I'm going to invite everyone to please take a deep breath in for 4 counts, hold it for 4 counts, and then exhale for 4 counts. So inhale, hold, exhale. So I really appreciate y'all for taking that moment with me. Like I said, there's so much power in us doing things in unison and together. Equity Before Birth was founded as a charity organization with that sense of collective power in mind, saying, hey, let's rally the communities together, pull our resources together, and help bridge gaps to accessing critical services and support during pregnancy and postpartum periods, and let's center Black birthing people and Black moms in that so that we can eliminate disparities and make sure we improve these maternal health experiences and these outcomes. Now, why is this so important? Why is this such a seemingly novel idea? Traditionally, charity organizations have had this model of kind of saviorism of giving to less fortunate. Let us, with more resources and more power, give to people who may be of poorer fortune because that is exactly what they need and we know how to resolve their problems. Thankfully, we are now coming into better understanding around intent versus impact and how some charity models could perpetuate oppression and further cause harm when they do not add that intentionality behind the work. And so here comes Equity Before Birth. Although we are a charity organization, we are wholeheartedly committed to making positive impacts in our community and putting a lot of intention behind our work so that we are not perpetuating those harms. In philanthropy, in nonprofit, we see that out of the billions and billions of dollars that are given to nonprofit organizations each year, less than 10% of that goes to initiatives that are Black-led or Black servicing, primarily servicing organizations. And less than 1% of those philanthropic dollars goes to Black women-led and Black women serving organizations. And so when you look at that, instead of getting discouraged, we decided to not exclusively wait on grants and philanthropy in order to fund our work. We decided to turn inward and collectively harness the power in our community to get things done. So we know that people that are closest to the challenges are also the closest to the solution. So we decided to put our trust in the community. We decided to lean in on the community and ask for resources back. And we came up with this very bolsterous collaborative model by which we receive donations from businesses, individuals, foundations, corporations in our community. We take those funds and we get it back out into the hands of Black and brown birth workers, families, birthing people, moms, educators, and other folks who can provide services. This is very important because that now means that we do not have to think in a deficit mind state. We do not have to worry about only 1 to 10% of dollars trickling down into our resource pool so that we can serve our community. We can go directly to our community and kind of have a FUBU method, for us, by us, make sure that we are meeting the needs in the way that needs are intended to be met with unrestricted dollars. So we wanted to share a little more with you all today about why it's so important for us to lean in on cooperative models, such as having partnerships, seeking and relying on donations and getting those back out into the community, making sure we invest back into Black and brown businesses, making sure we invest back into our team members and our volunteers and everyone who helps us out. We just really wanted to take a moment to reflect on the power of our unity and our collective efforts. So I'm going to take a pause here and ask for T. Luna to come back and share with us more about the cooperative model that we have here at Equity Before Birth and why that matters and why our model is helping us to reach and save lives in our community.
Thank you, Joy. So a big part of what we do is about making sure that there is a large amount of justice implemented in every aspect of what we do here at EBB. And a lot of that has to do with economic justice. And if you've seen any of our talks before, we talk a lot about that. One thing that we as Black-led, Black women-led organizations know is that in our experience personally is that oftentimes providers, when you provide a service or when you provide products even, people ask you, to lower your prices in order to gain access, in order for them to buy it. And at the same time, if somebody wants something like Nike or whatever other company, they're not going to ask them often to lower their prices, right? And so we really value paying people their market rate, at least. I don't want to say what they're worth, because a lot of the skills that our birth workers and other service providers, therapists, community workers have is priceless. A lot of their skills are priceless, right? And so we like to at least pay them market rate for their services and not lowball them or ask them to discount their rates in order to serve our families. And that's something that is extremely important to what we do at EBB. And we do so because we really believe in having us as a community having access to a living wage, a fair and living wage. And so, not having to continue to sacrifice to do your work, to live out your calling, to care for your community. And that allows each of us as individuals, each of our service providers, the Black and brown birth workers that we work with, to be able to be mindful of not only what they do, how they serve our families and the community as a whole, but also how they serve themselves, how they serve their families, and being able to balance self-care and care for themselves and take the time that they need and not have to, care for our families, but also hustle and bustle and go and care for 10 other families at full cost in order to, care for one of our families, which a lot of organizations do this type of work when it comes to serving Black and brown communities. And so we're not asking that. We want people to live wholly and well. And so part of cooperative economics for us is being equitable in providing that living wage for folks because they deserve it. Another aspect is so we talked about being paid and knowing that your energy is valuable, right? And so being mindful about what you're expending. We don't want not only us as a staff and a team, but also the people we work with. We don't want them to be giving so much that their cup is empty and that they have nothing else to give, which causes, what do we know? Ill health and other disparities that continue to plague our communities, right? And so we do not believe or adhere to grind culture. We really value self-care, taking the time that you need, resting. We are whooping the nap ministry over here. We talk about valuing, making sure you're managing your energy, being sustainable, self-sustainable, and which will allow us to continue to do this work for time and time and time to come, right? Because we don't want to just impact this current generation that we work with, but many generations to come. And that starts with us being well within ourselves. And so a lot of times that has to do with knowing how to plan your energy, your finances, and learning those skills that a lot of us in our community didn't quite get taught, right? So we have to figure out how to budget our lives and making sure that we show up in all the areas of our lives that we value and still do our work. And then also live well, live within our means, right? And so being mindful about your time, your energy, the commitments that you make, and also the time that you give yourself is something that we truly hold dear here at Equity Before Birth. So I would like to go ahead and ask Whit to talk a bit more about what it means to be cooperative.
Thanks so much. And I'm so excited to share. I get to share a story actually. Just building off all the things that Joy and Tilu have been sharing with you, I want to tell you what that's meant in real time. So I've been a doula for going on 6 years now. I love my work. I love what I do. I love being in community. My partner and I moved to his hometown, Durham, North Carolina in 2020. I brought my doula practice from Harlem in the Bronx, serving Harlem in the Bronx, and brought it back home to the South. And I was super excited. I was, connecting with family and, my partner's good friends, his community that's deeply rooted in Durham. But then I also started to meet my own people and I started to do my own work and I started to build those connections in community. One day I get a call from a good girlfriend who's actually partnered to one of Sid's close friends. And she's like, hey, I had this baby and I need more support. And my birth doula doesn't do postpartum work. and I need someone to come hold this baby so I can sleep. I need someone to help me meal plan. I need to be fed. I need for someone to look after me. He's going back to work. I need support. And I need for you to be connected to equity before birth because I need you. And they helped me throughout my pregnancy. And so can you get connected? Can you see what you can do? And I told you, I was like, you know what? I haven't heard of equity before birth. I haven't connected with them yet. But I'll connect. No matter what, though, we're going to get you taken care of. And so that's what we did. And I'm going to talk about my home team in just a minute. But I was so grateful for that connection. And I still am so grateful for that connection. One, because paying folks at market price, paying Black doulas, paying Black families to pay Black doulas is how we talk about it in my practice. It's so important to the way that we combat and push back on the Black maternal health crisis that we're in right now. You've probably heard the statistics that Black people are 4 to 5 times more likely to die in childbirth or of childbirth-related consequences. And that's because of the implicit bias or racism of our providers. And so having doula support is backed by research and all the things that Equity Before Birth already knew. So knowing that they knew and that they were seeing families and meeting them where they were, it made it so much easier for us to be able to come in and say, this is the care that we provide. This is the value of that work. And without question, they supported me and my home team in all of the work that we do. So I was super grateful and am so excited to still be working with that one family. And I like to talk about my home team. My home team is comprised of about 5 Black doulas in the Triangle area who serve our Black community. We serve them in lots of different ways, from prenatal and birth support, labor support, at home or in hospital. We serve people postpartum. We help people breast and body feed. We help people get pregnant. We do all of the things, right? And really what we're doing is modeling tradition. We have never done these things alone. We have always done these things together. When I think about our pre-colonial times in Africa, right? Midwives being trained in religious spaces, this being sacred work. Doulas back then were just literally people in your village, in your community, who knew you were pregnant, who knew you were going to have a baby and bless our village with life, who were gonna come over and sweep your floors and put food on your hearth for you and take care of your other little ones and tend to your land and do those things while you healed. Those elders in our communities would come and take care of you and wrap your belly and keep you warm and all of those traditions that are super important. We still do those today, and we make sure that we do those with our home team in community because I can't do them all alone. My postpartum doula can't do it all alone, right? You can't do it all alone. So having an organization like Equity Before Birth who knows that already because it's part of their history, but values that in a way by breaking bread, it has been so fulfilling to the work that we do and the way that we help out, the way that we support. That collective support is also about our history. So when I think about the fruits of our labor or the fruits of our harvest right now, how that's really impacted us and affected our work is that when we're invested in as Black business owners, because we are small business owners as doulas and midwives, but when we're invested in as Black people, as Black business owners, we're able to sustain our own lifestyles and protect ourselves from burnout. So exactly what T. Luna was saying about, when we pay market price, we make sure that we can go and get a massage after 50 hours in labor, right? Whitney can go and have vacation. She didn't have to take 16,000 families on because she can take a caseload that she can actually really support. She can take on people who she knows she's aligned with, and she doesn't have to just do it for the money. She can really do the work that she wants to do in a way that's really going to impact her community. And she can do it year after year after year after year. And that's the work that we want to be doing and that we are able to do because of your support. And when we think forward, when we think about the seeds we're going to sow, we're really thinking about these cooperative business models like Equity Before Birth. We're really thinking about economic justice. We're really thinking about what are the ways that we can take these systems and bend them to our wills, to have them support us in the ways that we need them to, so that we can continue to serve in our communities the ways that we have been doing. When we're able to do this, we're really looking back at Black history. We know the history of Black Wall Streets, especially in Durham, in downtown Durham. We know the history of the Malcolm X University. We know the legacy of the Black Panther free breakfast, of Head Start, of free health clinics, of open health clinics. It's so important for us to keep that history and those traditions in mind, because they really do fuel and inform the ways that we imagine new work. So with that, thank you. And I want to pass it off to Leah and Star to talk more about cooperative economics.
Thank you, Whit, for that. This is not just a trend for us. We are operationalizing cooperative economics and equity by practicing what we preach within our organization. 100% of our donations go to help families, birth workers, and educators. And yeah, Leah, if you could tell us a little bit about our fundraising and
Yeah, so just to kind of expand on what Star said, this is not a trend for us. We really try to operationalize equity at every level. And so for us, what that looks like is that when we, for our partners, which we've already heard from today a little bit, and we've talked about, that we intentionally partner with Black and Brown business owners local to our area, because we know the power in that. And then when we do fundraisers or events, we intentionally, again, partner with and choose vendors that are Black and Brown, because we want to support them at every turn. So whether that's cupcakes or T-shirts or cards, we try to do that at every level possible. And as Star mentioned, 100% of donations go directly to families. And so we are somewhat unique in this aspect. And so that means we really value and want every dollar from community that is given to us to go back to families and to supporting families. So all of our operational costs, all of our salaries, things like that are covered by grants. And so if you're watching this and you are wanting to give back, knowing that every single dollar and cent will go back to helping families. Star, did you want to, I think we both kind of wanted to reflect a little on like, well, what is it like working at Equity Before Birth? I feel like people ask us that sometimes. Do you want to go ahead, share first?
Sure. I believe we have a cooperative work structure. We make sure everyone has like a clear role, so we cover more ground, or we're able to cover more ground. We have a collaborative decision-making process where a lot of our decision-making is based on all of us, or all of our opinions, or everybody is heard. I would say that. I feel like we have a structure where like all of us are allowed to kind of give our opinions, and it's heard and validated and taken into account. And then, yeah, paid leave. We have paid leave for our staff. I definitely have taken advantage of paid leave. I was able to stay out of work after I had my baby last year. And I didn't have to worry about the pressure of having to hurry up and go back to work. Like a lot of times Joy was telling me to just relax and take my time off, and and I was like, no, I want to get back to work, or just being bored at home. But it was such a wonderful opportunity to be able to stay home with my baby, and my I don't want to say boss, because we don't really have a hierarchy, but my Joy was pushing me to relax. And a lot of times in work environments, we don't get that. We actually get the opposite. And so, yeah, just from me coming from corporate America, that was such a culture shock for me, but it was also so awesome to experience that, because now when I speak to families, I have both experiences. I have an experience of
being pushed to come back to work when you're on break, and then the experience of, having paid leave. So yeah, Leah, tell us a little bit about your experience.
Yeah, I mean, I resonated with a lot of what you said, and I think that it just comes back to like, like that joy and our team and the organization as a whole is like we are walking the talk, and like we all feel so passionate about this work that like we know we don't want to burn out, and we know that we want it to be actually sustainable. And so when I started at EBB, I actually had a 4-month-old. And my son had just had surgery. And so being able to come into this work and know that there was like flexibility, and that like, I might be doing some work like in the evening hours when my older kids were asleep. It was just like a very like exciting but stressful time as a mom of 3 with a small child who was having a lot of like needs at the time, in addition to being a small baby. And so I think for me, like the flexibility, like I think people are starting to really understand, like when they come to our events in a good way, like when we say family friendly, like we really mean like our kids are going to be there. Like, I've always been welcome to like feed, body feed or like have children with me. And so I just think that it's like extremely rare, but I really appreciate it. And I also hope that we can show maybe like as a model to other organizations of ways that like this is possible, and like you can actually succeed and achieve a lot and like support a lot of families while also like cherishing yourself and cherishing your staff, and like pushing back on all the ethos that like most of us probably that's like surrounding us. But I think that's kind of some of my biggest takeaways. I guess, should we like open it up to everyone who wants to talk about kind of our "it takes a village" mentality and what that looks like?
Yeah, sure. I know that we embody the village mentality within Equity Before Birth, even with our families that we serve, because we have started listening sessions where it's an opportunity to get families feedback. We have a feedback or a follow-up process where they're able to either fill out a follow-up form or talk to someone on our team about their experience with us, their experience with their doula, their experience just throughout the whole process of asking for help and getting help. And so, yeah. And then also we have tried to create a village for our families as far as like letting them come to Mama's Night Out and just like get to talk to other moms that we serve. And like also our intake calls aren't or our follow-up calls aren't very like super, I don't know, I want to say professional, but like they're not super like straightforward. We've created a space that feels like family, and it's not like we are some corporation that they're talking to. We want them to feel, comfortable and safe, and like all of us are in it together with them. And so, yeah. Anyone else have some feedback on our village mentality?
I loved exactly what you said about asking for what you need and getting what you need. I find that that's something that I really have to work hard to let my families know is so important. Is once you sit with the self-reflection, you've experienced a thing, you sit with the whoa, wow, that was woo, and oh my goodness, and I could really use, or man, that really felt like, or oh, wouldn't it feel good if? And that's the thing that I want for us to lead forward with as we continue to be in right relationship with each other, is what would bring us pleasure? What would bring us joy? What would lighten or share the burden? Because that's so important to me in the way that we get free in real time, is how do we share what we're experiencing? And sometimes when you share, because we've been going through a lot of these things for some time now, we do have some solutions that do really work. And so I just appreciate when people are able to ask for the help, know that they need the help, ask for the help, and then get it. And I just really appreciate the way that y'all make a container for that at Equity Before Birth.
If I can chime in, thank you so much for that, Whit. Because everyone needs help at some point. There's not a human being on this planet who has not received some sort of help and support from somebody that took on the role of a caregiver or someone who was empathetic to their situation. I mean, as humans, we rely on other humans to feed us for the first exclusively, like for the first decade of our lives, right? And then we start to learn how to kind of sustain our own nutrition part by part. So if there is a key takeaway that I would love for everyone to kind of reflect on, it would be the village mentality and the notion that it takes a village. And we, in this capitalist society, try so hard to say, oh, separate work from life and separate, business from pleasure. And the reality is, so many of us are so ruled by our work structure and schedules and business cycles and rituals and settings that sometimes your current reality may not be to completely separate that. And at Equity Before Birth, we are like committed to showing that you can have a business model that incorporate some of our core values as tribal people, as people who need to be in community and in village with one another. You can have a business model that includes compassion and collaboration and a lot of cooperative ways and methods to get things done and consensus-based decision making. And some of these things that I think traditionally corporate and business structures have kind of said these are not best practices, right? We are kind of trying to flip that upside down and prove that we can put the village mentality into business. We are working almost exclusively cooperatively. If it were not for community support, 100%, we would not be able to do what we do. If we did not partner with birth workers and doulas and midwives and educators, if we did not receive donations, if we did not lean on people to help us get the word out about what we need and what we do, we would not exist today. And so I also just wanted to remind everyone that like working cooperative economics is a human right. Being anti-cooperative, in fact, is anti-Black. We are tribal and village people. When you separate us and silo us and do not allow us to pool our resources, to pool our imagination, to pool our dreams, and to pool our creativity, you are stifling our success and you are truncating our potential. Not allowing cooperative models to flourish, not investing in cooperative, community-rooted models is anti-Black. And so we are here to take a stand against that and to prove also have an abundance mentality. There is enough for everyone. There's enough for us to all come together and make sure that we are all given what we need in order to accomplish the goals that we set forth. There's enough for everyone. And the easiest way to make sure everyone has a piece is to bring everyone to the table and make sure that we're all putting in collective effort to reach those goals. And so just wanted to kind of extend thanks and gratitude to everyone who is listening, because you are the reason why we're here. You are very supportive. You are the reason why we are able to do this. You are proving that community can be a very critical form of support. And I'm going to pause here to see if any of our other team members have any reflections, but we just really, really want to hone in on the fact that it takes a village and we are operationalizing kind of what we know at our core.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in and say, it's just the amount of support that we get with EBB is something that we can't take for granted. So when we talk about it taking a village, it really is truly how we feel, because of the amount of support that we get compared to, maybe other Black-led organizations. Yeah, it is honestly just something that we do not take for granted at all. So thank you so much for everyone who has supported us along the way, those who have sent people our way, those who have donated or volunteered or anything like that. Everything that everyone gives is valuable. So thank you.
If I could add just one last thing, I think what's so important and something that I do in fundraising a lot is that when we put asks out, sometimes it can be really daunting to, send a little money here or send a little money here. But especially now in this age of social media, it can be so easy and sometimes more helpful. The money's helpful, but sometimes more helpful to share. So one of the things that I always say is that, and it's something that we want you to do with this recording this show is this talk is share this. We're not being judgmental. We all know, like Joy said, is that at some point we're all going to need support. And at a lot of points, we're not all able to fiscally, right, or monetarily donate. And that we, especially in this community, are trying to create a judgment-free zone. It can be really easy to judge folks in a lot of spaces. That's not always validating, especially not culturally. And we want to make sure that we're creating a safe space in our village. So though most of what Equity Before Birth does is economic support and redistributing funds, if you cannot give, please share to someone who may be in the position to give. We'd also like to remind everyone, as you're doing all the sharing, right, don't forget to follow and become a part of this Equity Before Birth Village. Subscribe to their newsletter, right, on the website. Support, follow, volunteer, donate if you can, share if you can't. And please don't forget to stay tuned for the Black Maternal Health Week dance party in April of 2023. As I say all the time on my Instagram, thank you for coming on and chopping it up with us. Thank you. And we will see you all in the new year. Peace.